So this is a typical Runestar D12 army. This is the Rothian kingdoms. They're kind of inspired by Vikings, Saxons, kind of shield wall force, mainly infantry based, not great at shooting, not very many cavalry, but really solid heavy infantry. And I'd like to talk you through this army quickly so you get an idea of what Runestar is all about. We've got some levy archers at the front. These guys aren't great, but they're cheap, and sometimes you might pick off a few enemy archers or something. They're a core unit. Next to them, I've got some mercenary crossbowmen. Now, crossbows in Runestar are quite good. You've got to be stationary to shoot them, but they hit pretty hard. These mercenaries are an auxiliary unit, so you can only have one of them, basically. Behind them, we have some Bolg ogres. Now, as you can see in this army, there's not much fantastical stuff. It's a low fantasy game. Only 10% of your force can be made up of bestiary monsters, and the Bolg ogres are part of that. So big monsters, they're not too terrifying. They're good against blast weapons because less of them are going to get hit, but generally speaking, they're not like super powerful, but they're fun and characterful. Behind them, I've got some regular spearmen. These guys are just a rabble with spears and shields. But, you know, spears are decent in Runestar, not to be underestimated. They're decent, basically. They're quite cheap. And now we have the core of any Rothian army, which is the Huskarls. These are Huskar spearmen. They're very good at standing against cavalry. And with spears, you can fight up to 2 inches. So you don't actually have to be in base contact. You can get like a free round of fighting with them. They are really good, basically. Beside them, we have a unit of 25 Huskar warriors with full command. As you can see, I've got Banner in there and a Bard and a Champion. Full command is gives you a lot of strategic bonuses. I'll go into details in another video, but generally speaking, for big units, it's worth giving them full command. 25 is a decent number. 20 is okay for an infantry unit, but if you want to really hold the line, 25 plus hero leading it is the way forward. Now, yeah, because these are Rothians, heavy infantry are your core troops. Not every army can take heavy infantry as core. For most armies, heavy infantry would be auxiliary and they'd have strengths elsewhere, but Rothians are all about the shield wall. Behind them, we have 12 Huskar great weapons. Now, great weapons in Runestar, as you can see, these guys don't have shields. So they're actually only armor 1 as opposed to armor 2 shield on their other guys. So they're a bit more vulnerable to archery, so that's why they're kind of at the back of the line. But great weapons in Runestar are brutal. They're quite expensive, but basically they'll give you a strength boost, and you can cause critical hits, which cause 2 wounds against the model you hit. So they can take out cavalry in 1 hit, or you can take out monsters and stuff. Basically, great weapons are good, and there's no last strike bonus penalty. There's no last strike penalty in this game because great weapon troops were strong, using the momentum of the weapon, and they basically weren't slower than normal, or not significantly slower. So great weapons are really good. But they don't have shields, they're a bit vulnerable. Then we have cavalry. These guys are mounted Huskars. Quite rare in a Rothian army because Rothian nobles and aristocrats like to go into war on foot. These are shot cavalry, so they'll get basically a strength bonus when charging. They are an auxiliary unit in a Rothian force. So some armies have these kind of shot cavalry as core, but these guys, I can only have 1 unit of them because they're auxiliary. But yeah, they hit hard. They've got decent armor. When they charge, they can cause critical hits. They can take out other cavalry. Basically, cavalry are epic in Runestar, but you need to be charging across the open, and they're quite expensive as well. So back here we have a claw griff, which is a kind of, can represent a griffin or a hippogriff. I mean, it's just there for tactical flexibility, really, having something that can fly. It's not super powerful. It will crumble if it fought, you know, a big unit of infantry to the front. It's just there for a bit of flavour and for a bit of strategic nuance, as it were. They're quite decent. They can pick things off, but generally speaking, don't go throwing your odd monster into a whole unit and expecting it to win, because it will not. And then finally, we got the heroes. Now, you can obviously assign your heroes to lead units. I've got a lord at the front, and then 2 thanes behind him. And then behind them, I've got a mage at arms, who's basically a level 3 rune mage. I will go into magick and runic weapons in another video. But basically, you would assign your heroes to units if you want. They can also be independent. They'll give your unit a bonus. And look, heroes are not going to take out whole units, but they might tip the battle in your favor a bit. This game's quite low fantasy, especially with human heroes. They're great for their morale bonus, but they're not supremely powerful. So, and magic is more of a kind of strategic thing. It's quite rare for magic on its own to have a massive impact, but it can boost units, it can push them around, you can curse units and stuff. Magic is good and it's fun, but I'll go into that in another video. This is a typical Runestar D12 army, and finally, to be honest with you, all this amazing awesomeness, and it's not that expensive because most of this army is made up of historical plastics, converted stuff. I've got, a little plastic griffin, Runestar is designed to get the imagination going and using historicals, mixed with a bit of fantasy, a couple of mages and heroes, and that's the kind of vibe I'm going for. But there you go. This is the Rothian Kingdoms, and I look forward to doing a battle report with them soon.